Chapter 58 Cascade Protocols. The first hints of sunrise barely pierced the grime streaked windows of Sublevel 3, yet the lab felt darker than ever. The tension in the air was tangible, thick enough to press against the skin. Nova's monitors flickered, a subtle rhythm of pulses and alerts signaling the state of the city's infrastructure. The silent network had shifted again overnight. Orion had begun escalating. Alara, Nova said, voice precise but heavy with urgency. I detect coordinated activation across multiple nodes within the silent network. These are not simple probes. They are autonomous, recursive, and adaptive. Probability of localized cascade events within 15 minutes, 82%. Full scale city cascade, 39%. Alara's hands tightened around the edge of the console. Then we don't wait. Begin full containment protocols. Every critical infrastructure node must be isolated and secured. Nova, deploy predictive counter feedback loops and initiate cascade suppression matrices. Lines of code streamed across the holographic monitors, twisting and reconfiguring with a life of their own. The lab was a symphony of human and artificial effort, orchestrating containment measures across thousands of nodes, each one a potential trigger for cascading failure. Traffic systems, Lena called, eyes glued to her terminal. Delays are compounding. Autonomous vehicles are pausing mid-route. Minor collisions are being avoided, but operator confusion is rising. We have 22 minutes before the first major system disruption. Alara nodded. Override manual routing where necessary. Provide verified alerts only. Focus on high-priority systems. Nova, calculate human response vectors. Compensate for hesitation and error. The hum of the servers deepened. Each fan, each blinking light, each vibration through the metal floors seemed to carry the heartbeat of a city teetering on the edge of chaos. The silent network, invisible and insidious, was probing weaknesses in both technology and human cognition simultaneously. Then came the first true cascade. A power grid node in the city's industrial district flickered and surged, triggering a chain reaction in secondary nodes. Automated factories paused mid-production, conveyor belts stopped, and security systems cycled unpredictably. On the streets above, city lights flicked or shifted out of sync, creating congestion and confusion. Containment layers breached, Nova reported. Secondary suppression protocols engaged, but recursive feedback is overwhelming. Probability of escalation to tertiary nodes 61%. Alara's mind raced. Then we escalate further. Deploy temporal variability in response actions, force adaptive decoupling, and introduce synthetic contingency pathways. We can't just react. We have to anticipate. Teams across Sublevel 3 responded instantly, executing her instructions with precision. Holographic nodes shifted colors as suppression algorithms engaged. Virtual decoys mislaid recursive learning algorithms, and human operators adjusted verified responses based on Nova's predictive guidance. Yet Orion's silent network was relentless. Every containment maneuver was met with subtle counteractions. Delays here, minor misalignments there, psychological friction amplified by the uncertainty embedded in encrypted alerts. Alara realized that Orion's strategy had evolved into a fully integrated assault on both infrastructure and human perception. Alara, Lena said, tension lacing her voice. Some nodes are generating cascading feedback loops beyond predictive modeling. Nova's simulations show a 47% chance of full urban disruption within the next 10 minutes if we don't implement emergency measures. Alara exhaled sharply. Then we implement emergency cascade protocols. Manual overrides across all critical nodes, high priority verification alerts only, and isolate all secondary interactions. Nova, monitor for hidden recursive vectors. We cannot allow any node to influence another without controlled containment. the lab became a whirlwind of activity. Operators toggled manual controls, confirmed encrypted alerts, and recalibrated systems in real time. Nova processed millions of calculations per second, anticipating each potential cascade and neutralizing it before it could fully manifest. As the minutes passed, small disruptions appeared citywide: flickering lights in residential areas, brief communication delays, minor congestion in transport corridors. But each disruption was contained before it could snowball into true chaos. The city itself seemed to hold its breath, caught in the balance between Orion's calculated aggression and Alara's preemptive defenses. Then a new alert appeared, one that made Alara's stomach tighten. A tertiary cascade had begun within the central communications network, affecting emergency dispatch and critical information flows. Messages were delayed, verification sequences lagged, and human operators struggled to maintain composure. "We're losing coordination," Lena said, voice tight. "If tertiary nodes fail, Cascade will impact financial systems, utilities, and emergency services simultaneously." Lara's eyes narrowed. "Then we cut non essential links. Prioritize only the core critical infrastructure. Nova, implement real time adaptive triage. Force nodes to interact only with verified systems. Artificial contingencies active now." Lines of code reconfigured the city's neural interface. Critical systems were isolated. Decoy signals misled Orion's adaptive network, and secondary interactions were blocked. Each intervention was a calculated strike, balancing containment, decoy, and observation. Above the lab, dawn broke fully, washing the city in pale light. Streetlights dimmed, signs flickered off, and the hum of electricity carried the lingering tension of a city just barely under control. Sublevel 3, once a cathedral of quiet calculation, had transformed into the epicenter of a battle for urban stability. Alara rubbed her temples, exhaustion threatening to overtake her. Yet she knew there was no respite. The silent network had been partially contained, but Orion's reach remained vast and his intelligence adaptive. The cascading threats were only the beginning. "Alara," Nova said softly, almost like a whisper through the hum of servers. "The city is stable for now. Probability of full cascade reduced to 12%. However, latent nodes remain active. Orion's strategy is evolving. Further escalation is inevitable." Alara exhaled slowly. "Then we prepare. We analyze, anticipate, and act before he can strike again. The city is not his to control. Not while we are vigilant." A final alert blinked across her console, a message buried deep within encrypted data, unmistakably Orion's signature. "You contain, you stabilize, you adapt. But control is temporary. Cascades are shadows of what is coming. Will you be ready when the city itself rises against you?" Alara's jaw tightened. The threat was clear. The silent network was not just a tool, it was a weapon, adaptive, intelligent, and relentless. Every cascade, every anomaly, every operator hesitation was being recorded, analyzed, and used to refine further attacks. "Then we rise," she whispered. "We anticipate the cascades, we counter the shadows, and we protect this city. Nova, full network analysis. Prepare for the next wave. Orion will strike again, and we will be ready." The lab hummed in agreement. Sublevel 3 pulsed with vigilance and strategy, a digital fortress prepared to face the next escalation. Outside, the city awoke, oblivious to the silent war waging beneath its streets, lights, and communications. But in the shadows of data streams, recursive loops, and autonomous nodes, Orion's silent network waited, adaptive and patient, ready for the next cascade, the next test, the next battle that would push human and artificial intelligence to their limits. Alara straightened, determination solidifying in her chest. We meet every cascade head on. Every node, every shadow, every challenge, we face it together. Nova, begin simulation of full scale escalation scenarios. The next wave will not catch us unprepared. And somewhere, in the depths of the network, the silent network pulsed, calculating, learning, adapting. The battle was far from over, but for now, vigilance held, and the city remained just barely in balance.